Hey, Tony guy. Now I want to expound on this because in my last video, I was talking about why most men don't support me. But I touched on something about how I tell my story. And the reason why I tell my story the way I tell it and where I make myself sound so bad, so horrible, is because if I don't, then the devil will send somebody to try to exaggerate or to make it worse than it was. So I tell it worse than it was. That's why I do that. The reason being is because people are always going to assume that we making excuses for ourselves. As humans, we always see things in our favor, in our advantage. So I'd rather beat myself up and call me a dog so that somebody else can't call me no dog. So if you really look at my life and the women that I dated, it's probably only one or two other than my wife that could say I thought this was a real relationship going somewhere. And that might not even be the case, because one of those, what I'm thinking, was in high school. And it was 6 months that we was actually dating. But then 4 years later, she called me and said, hey, I'm about to get married. And I just want to know, do you love me or do you want to be with me? And I was like, no, go ahead and get married. But what it was is I was her first. And it wasn't something that was serious, it was something that happened. Because this was a white female. I'm from the South. Black and white. The reason why we broke up is because her dad went to my dad and told my dad, my daughter can't be with your son, because if she with your son, she's not going to get a volleyball scholarship being with a black guy. She's not going to get a job when she graduates from college. Mind you, we graduated high school 2002. I think she graduated 2001. So she's going to graduate college 2005, and her daddy felt like that if his daughter had a black boyfriend, and for me, honestly, it was like an experiment. It was like the forbidden fruit. It just, you go through this. I remember being like 5th grade, 6th grade, and my cousin was living with me, my older male cousin. And I said, man, why you talk to white girls? He said, you'll understand when you get my age. Then I realized from our area where we were, it was like a experiment, and it was kind of like the greed as a young, poor or poor-minded black male. It was the white people in our city that was doing good, and all the black people were struggling. So if you was a star athlete like I was, or if you were an athlete at all, most everybody would get a white girl because they was buying you clothes. They'd give you money and stuff like that, whereas the black girls, they coming from the struggle, they couldn't do none of that. So me, my best friend, my other guy, every guy kind of went through that phase, but it wasn't really a real thing. And that's a reality that a lot of people don't want to address. A lot of people don't want to admit. It was a lot of white women mad at me when I wrote my first book, because I told that story about the main 3 reasons why black guys date white women. And it upset a lot of white women because they wanted to believe that every interaction they had with a black guy, as far as sleeping with a black guy or dating a black guy, was just authentic, organic, real thing. But 90% of the time, it wasn't. And the reason why was because of the color lines. And so that was one of them. And then the other was in college, to where I was with a black female, and that one, it lasted like 2 years, but we was only really together for about a year. And some stuff happened in there to where stuff happened in her body that didn't have nothing to do with me, and that came out. So that kind of, it drive a little wedge, because you start to wonder, like, did she cheat? And so that intensified it. And then it was a situation where I was 1,000 miles from home. I was homesick, I was lonely, and I didn't really know how to express that. I didn't want to call my parents crying. Like my homeboy, he would cry. When we left Florida to go to West Virginia, every time after break, he would be crying. And I never cried. But he got up there and he didn't have a girlfriend up there. Me, my thing was, if I got a lady friend, I got somebody to chill with, got somebody to talk to. And that was like 2 years. And I'm going through my struggles as a young man. And so you're doing everything wrong, almost everything wrong. And so that's why I tell my story. Now, when I say over 100 women by the age of 21, well, a lot of people don't understand, especially women. Some men know, but what I come to find out is some men don't know. Because some men have been with 3 women, sexually. I stopped counting, but from where I'm from, it was just a thing. Like from the age of 5, we call it hunching. And you trying to hunt at the age of 5 years old. Guys literally losing their virginity at 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. A lot of girls lost their virginity, 10, 11. I didn't lose my virginity until 15 years old. But it was a lot of, and so there was sometimes people don't understand, and people try to take a messenger and try to find dirt and try to blow up something and try to say, oh, he used to do this, he used to do that, not realizing that the only way they know that is because I'm the one told it. And I say it the way I say it so that nobody who knew me could say Tony making excuses or Tony downplaying. So I over-exaggerated, so they be like, man, I really ain't remember it. I'd rather any ex-girlfriend from high school or my first 2.5 years of college, because I got kicked off my football team after 2.5 years of college and I had to come back home. Or my first 2.5 years of college, I'd rather any young lady I had dealings with, them be able to say, he wasn't as bad as he make it sound. It wasn't nothing that I hadn't gone through before him or after him. I'd rather that be said than it be, oh, he's trying to make himself sound like an angel. And like he was just this perfect guy, and that's not the case. He lied to me one time, or he cheated on me. I don't want that to be said. So I tell the worst of it so that when I'm speaking to women, they understand where I'm coming from. That I know the type of man that could play them, that could get over on them. And when I'm speaking to men, so that men know I was that guy. The guy that we taught to idolize. The guy who can get with a lot of different women. The guy who is an athlete, getting a full college scholarship for the sport, in the newspaper. The guy who in the streets hustling, selling drugs. I was that guy. So if I was an athlete, a ladies' man, a drug dealer, all of the ignorant, toxic things that we still celebrate today. Look at the rappers. That's what they is. Look at the pro ball players. That's what they is. They don't represent healthy manhood in most cases. They represent a bunch of women and money. And that's what a lot of men idolize. So I try to let men know, like, listen, I was that guy that was doing those things as a broke man, not being a influencer online or a celebrity life coach or a guy who could earn good money legally. I was out there doing this stuff on the whole wrong side of things, and now I have changed my life. And the changes that I've made, these are the changes. And this is how it has benefited me. So that's why I tell my story as drastic as I tell it. But never am I trying to normalize toxicity or say that it's okay that we lie or cheat or ghost and all of this stuff. And that's why my work is teaching against it. My work is to show that being a person who is making consistent bad choices and lying or misleading is not okay. And we have to do the work. So for me, when I went into doing the work, for one, I talked to my father. And thank God I had a father to talk to. I have a father to talk to. And he started to teach me about manhood and how to really be a man. At the age of 23 is when I could receive it. He had been taught to my whole life, but I didn't receive it until I was 23 years old. And then two, I started to get virtual mentors. And how I'm working out right now, I'm mentoring right now, talking to you. But what I would be doing is I would be listening to Zig Ziglar for 8 to 10 hours a day. Some days it could have been 12 hours. I just was driving my family. I drove them an hour and 20 to the flag football national championships, and then an hour and 20 back. 2 hours and 40 minutes. You know what I was listening to? Self-development. I was listening to about sleep, because I don't sleep the best, and how sleep benefit us, and how a lack of sleep is killing us. So I was listening to that, and then what I did with that message, I sent it to my barber, I sent it to my security guard, I sent it to my mentee, I sent it to my daddy, and I sent it to my wife. So what I try to do is as I learn, I uplift my circle and try to teach. And that's why I'm on here. That's why I'm online. Because if you ask me who I am, I'm a servant. I am serving to help other people. Point blank period. I can't sleep if I don't. I could probably put my mind to cryptocurrency, stocks, real estate. I could put my mind 100% in the areas of earning money and earn a whole lot of money. But I'd rather serve and earn money on the side. I'd rather serve and let my business be my purpose so that I could serve my purpose full time instead of having to slave for money and then only having this much time for my God-given purpose. So that's why I tell my story the way I tell it, so that ain't nobody else got to come tell it for me. And that's the problem. We give other people the pen to write our story, and we let other people have the narrative and shape a narrative of us because we're afraid to expose ourselves and to tell our own story and to tell it like the truth is, meaning to really check yourself so that then you can help somebody else instead of trying to paint a pretty, perfect picture and coming in as somebody that's buttoned up and never made a mistake. And then some people, the irony is, people will criticize you because you admit to being imperfect. People will criticize you and belittle you and tell you you need to shut up and sit down because you made mistakes in your past, because you made bad choices in your past. A bad choice is a mistake. Look up the definition. Because you made bad choices in your past, people will tell you you're not fit to say anything. But who better can teach than someone who has made mistakes? A perfect person can't teach you nothing. And guess what? There's no perfect person. So that's what we got to realize and understand. It's Tony Gaffney. God bless you.